Hi, I'm George Norrie, and welcome to our Coast to Coast AM YouTube channel. Have fun, tell your friends, and share us with everyone. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Coast to Coast AM's mobile app. And always remember to log on to our website at coasttocoastam.com for daily articles, the best paranormal information, and all you need to know about your favorite guests. And now you can become a Coast Insider directly through the Coast mobile app. We welcome our international listeners and even offer a free 2-week trial. So don't delay. Become an insider today. And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you. Glynis McCants, the numbers lady, back with us. She's been studying numerology for years. Glynis believes that knowledge is power, and when you have someone's name and date of birth, you can discover who they really are. The numbers are not just in people, but also in our homes, our businesses. She's the author of several books, including Glynis Has Your Number, Loved by the Numbers as well. Her website is numberslady.com. Glynis, how was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was wonderful. How about you?
Okay, everything's good. It's good to talk with you again. We miss you.
Well, yeah, I missed you guys, and I have a question. What state were you in for Thanksgiving? Because you just get around.
I was in St. Louis and went to see my son and my 2 daughters, and they had a group of people, and they had like 25 people there. And
wow. It was a family affair, which is wonderful.
Yeah, that's always great stuff.
Yeah.
But the numbers don't change, do they?
Well, the numbers tell a story, right? So every day when we look at energy, that's what changes, right? Our life experience. And, yeah, it's just fun to look at the numerology patterns to figure out how to make your life better.
Last week, Mark Lerner, our astrologer, was complimenting you being the numbers lady, and he dabbles a little bit with numerology. What's the big difference between astrology and numerology?
Well, this is what I would tell you when it comes to, like Mark, in his case, he is very good at it, right? Like he has studied astrology. And so when he assesses a situation or tells you what's up, it's really detailed and excellent. That's the same deal. With me, numerology is the science of numbers, 2,500 years old. Pythagoras was the creator of the system. The belief is everything in this universe has vibration, but that ultimately means it breaks down to numbers. And in astrology, so does astrology, right? You deal with numbers when you're looking at the planets and the placement of the energy. So I have found where we're similar, when someone knows how to interpret it, they come up with the same conclusion. In my case, when I do numerology, people nickname me the fast food numbers lady because I can cut to the chase, and that is the gift that I have.
How did you get started in this?
Well, my heart was broken, and I went to see a woman. They said she was a psychic, but she technically was a numerologist, and it was my first love. And she's like, no, you miss the mother and the sister because they're considered compatible to you in numerology. The guy you just broke up with is not good for you. He's actually toxic to you. And the minute she said that, after 2 years of mourning him, like just feeling like I made a mistake, we should be together, I felt fine. It was like the pain went away. And that's when I realized I needed to take a look at this, right? See what's going on with the science of numbers. And then I found, George, by picking up a book, learning the basic number, 1 through 9, I could read anybody. I mean, it was ridiculously quick. So to me, it was meant to be.
Well, that's fantastic. And you do a great job, Glynis, and you've been with us for years now. My God, I've been doing this. This is my 20th year. Anything in those numbers?
Can you believe it?
Wow.
I mean, first of all, hasn't it flown for you?
It's taken off like a rocket ship. I mean, it's really too fast, actually. I mean, when you look...
But what I like about it, because, when we look at energy, and tonight we'll be looking at, like, the life path so everyone can get involved, because I've got some good advice for them in December. But when we go to what you are, let's face it, you're the host, so people are listening to you when you interview. The fact is you were born on a 4-day, which means seeking knowledge. So you're already interested, right? It's not like someone – I can't say that if they don't know what they're talking about, you're going to lose patience. You do need people who actually know what they're doing. It matters. But as a 7, you're the guy who literally every day wakes up and says, okay, what are we going to do different? What's going on? Let's get on with it. It's the mind number. That's what you are, and that's what makes you such a good host.
Now, you've been a guest on the program since the beginning of time itself.
Right.
And you mentioned Pythagoras, but how do the numbers correlate with somebody's life?
Well, here's how it works. The belief is when we're born, we come through with a certain tone. There's like a sound that resonates with each person. And there are 3 numbers that we look at in a birth date. And then the name, that birth certificate name, that gives you a destiny number, and that's the number that cannot change. But if you're not happy with your life, you have the power to change your name, which can change your life for the better. So sometimes I do encourage a name change to help someone with their life. But the birth date numbers, George, they're sacred. They are who you are. When you find someone who's compatible to you or a natural match, that's a wonderful thing. It feels good to you. But when someone is a challenge, it will feel toxic. And you need to know who's who. It helps your life. That information, that's knowledge is power in that case.
Let's use some examples. Give us a birth number and just tell us what you do.
Okay. All right. So here's it. Here's what works for the basics. Like everybody listening right now could do this simple thing. This is your full date of birth. You add it straight across and reduce it to 1 digit. And what that does is give us the basic life path number. See, that number, if you don't fulfill it, you're not going to be happy.
And that never changes, right?
Yeah, it does not change, and it really gives you insights about yourself. So I'll give you a birth example. Let's go with 5/4/1963. So people listening, obviously if you're in a truck, you probably can't write it down, but just I will spell it out, and the rest of you can write it down. So you go like this: 5/4/1963, 5 plus 4 plus 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 3. It becomes 28, and like I said, we're looking for 1 digit. So 2 plus 8 is 10, 1 plus 0 is 1. So that means someone born 5/4/1963 is a 1 life path. So what is that? 1 is the beginning. This is someone who's competitive. They're striving to be the best at what they do. Like this is a high-energy person. They don't like to sit still. And if you think about people in your life, George, if you were to look for 1 life path, you'd laugh and say, yeah, boy, is that true. Like you'll see it in that person. The number 2 life path, someone seeking peace. They want love. Like that is a romantic number. If you meet someone who's a 2 life path who gave up on love because they've been hurt, that's a sad individual because that's not who they are. They're also intuitive. Like when I look at charts, even your case, you're a 25. 2/5/7 is the life path that you are. That means you have psychic ability. Like if you don't get in your way, George, and you trust that intuitive voice, it does not fail you. But that's coming from the number 2. So the 2 life path is the one who has dreams that come true or deja vu when they meet people. The number 3, natural communicator. Very common for a 3 to be the comedian. Like that's the one on stage. When you run numbers, you'll find they have a 3 if it's a very good comedian. But they're also someone who wants to motivate and uplift other people. That's their calling. The 4 life path seeks knowledge. They're the ones who need to learn. And once they do, they want to pass it on to the people in their life. The 5 life path seeks freedom, fun, adventure. Do not control me. So I compare the 5 to the cat, because if you if you say, here, kitty, kitty, it runs out the door. But if you ignore the cat, it comes right back. That's 5 energy. And detective, they dig for truth. So if you're dishonest with a 5, they're going to get to the bottom line. They're going to know what happened. 6 life path, magnetic, but they're also technically nurturers. So they either have kids that mean the world to them, and if they don't, they have a company where they take care of the people under them, or they have pets that they're madly in love with. That's the energy. And they have to watch out for a sabotage streak. If things are going too well, they panic. They're like, uh-oh, I must be missing something. See, they don't believe that life can just be smooth, so I teach them to stop doing that. The 7 life path, this is your number, and many of your followers can relate to this.
And next year's a 7, too, so I'm going to ask you if there's a powers number there.
Oh, yeah. Who's the 7 that you're thinking of?
I'm a 7, and next year's a 7.
Oh, yes, the world number. That's right. And that will have a profound effect on you, and we will talk about that. So technically, what is a 7? 7, first of all, you, as much as you can be social, you've also got a loner quality. The 7 needs their alone time. And if someone invades their space, like someone shows up unannounced, that's not comfortable. The 7 has to make you feel welcome. Like when they want you over, they are all about it. 7s love nature. ocean, mountains, plants, flowers. This is a movement number. Just like I said, the 1 and the 5, they're the movement numbers as well. If they travel, they're happy. It's like on the road again. They're excited for the next adventure. The number 8 is, it's about finances. Like they have to figure out some sort of financial security. So if you meet an 8 who says, oh, I don't care about money, well, the truth is we live on a planet that costs money. If you're an 8 life path, first of all, you tend to notice them. 8s do care about trying to be their best self. Like it's common for them when you see a model, not uncommon for them to be an 8. And if you see an 8 that's not taking care of themselves, it means they're living on the shadow side of the number. They are opinionated. When it comes to justice, boy, do they care. Like they will fight the good fight. And honestly, I realize politicians get a bad rap, right? We always hear people ripping them to shreds. But so many of them start out with this optimistic vision of making a difference, and it's often the 8 that is the one willing to run, George. And then the 9 life path, that's the humanitarian, but it's also an old soul. That means when they're little kids, they say things way beyond their years. So that also means that they have parents that were not good to them, like didn't know how to support them. They can have emotional scars, and that's their job to overcome it. But ultimately, they are the one who wants to help, and it's common for them to volunteer their time, to give to charity, all of that stuff. It's an old soul energy, and if you meet a 9, trust me, you'll feel that. Mm-hmm.
Now,
there's your quick little life path examples.
Can you ever get to a 1 or a 0?
Well, here's how it works. Let's say you're born the 10th or the 20th or the 30th. You've got a 0 in the day you're born. And what does that mean? It means those that tap into their faith, it resonates. Like, again, if they get spiritual and they do their affirmations and yoga, they have a direct channel for the truth and answers. Yeah, it's a powerful thing to have that in your chart.
Let's talk about some people, and then we'll get into 2023 because people are interested in that. Strange things are happening in China right now. And for the first time in years that I can remember, they're screaming for the ouster of the Chinese president. They're a communist country, of course. But what's going on with this guy, President Xi?
Okay, President Xi. Here's the thing. He technically is in a personal year of 9, and last year when he was headed into it, I told you he was not going to be in people's face. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he was not going to try to make a move the way we've seen some of the world leaders being aggressive this year. That was not in the chart. But 9 also, when you're in a personal year of 9, it means clearing space for new beginnings. So I think it's powerful that the people are, talking about ousting him in a cycle of 9. Okay? Now, if you ask me, Glennis, what kind of behavior will he have in the new cycle? He goes into a cycle of 1, which becomes competitive. So we're going to have to keep an eye on what decision he makes. But I can promise you, in numerology, this guy has charisma. Like whether we like him or not, he does know how to do the smile, pick the right words. He knows how to do it, but he's off track right now, and the people are sick of it. The whole lockdown with the pandemic, it was overwhelming, right? It was more than anywhere else in the world.
Well, that's absolutely true. We'll come back to some other names in a moment. So
sure.
In my particular case, with next year being a 7, I'm a 7 life path. What does that mean to me?
Well, here's how it works. As I said, there are also, I did that quick life path, but there are 3 numbers in your name, 3 numbers on the birth date. 6 numbers give us a blueprint of who you are. So anytime like a world number happens and it's part of your numerology blueprint, it is significant. So 2023 is a 7, and because you're a 7 life path, I say you've got a little bit of power in that. Like you have to decide what matters most to me. What choices do I want to do that are different? Okay, that is what it means. And for the record, the personal year cycle that you happen to have been in this year, because your month and day reduces to a 1, you were in a personal year of 7. So I have to ask you something. Did you feel, I know you know how to do this because you step back, but did you feel the need to be more by yourself in some of the months that you dealt with this year? Just because the breakthroughs happen when you're alone, when you're in a cycle of 7. So tell me about that.
Well, I like my private downtime. I mean, I enjoy. I'm one of the few people that can get by on his own without having a lot of people around me. And, you miss your family, of course, and stuff like that. But, I mean, I enjoy my downtime and my private time.
But it really does matter. So here's what's interesting. You're a host. Sometimes a host is obsessed with the audience. Like, they really need them to see them all the time. It validates them. With you, you literally are kind of like an adventure. You're like, okay, we're going on an adventure tonight. You guys get to join me. Let's have fun together. Do you see the power in that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I love live stage shows. I love live stage shows because I love seeing my listeners.
But that's showtime, you see? Like when you get on that stage, you're giving from your heart and you just can't wait to engage. But if you need your downtime, like maybe you're just in that moment and it feels like someone's invading that, you're not going to be comfortable and you will speak up. So like I said, the year of 7, let me tell you what it means to the world. Just 2023, what's the difference? 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3 is 7. 7, watch climate. It's all about Mother Nature. She is going to speak up in a way you never believed. You're not going to be able to shut it down. You're not going to be able to deny it because it's going to be in our face. More than what we've dealt with in the last couple of years that way.
Now, this was a 6 year that we're still in. What kind of a year would you have expected back in January of this year?
Here's what I said. And it's fun because we've got the wonderful Tommy, who happens to be a 2, so it's always fun to check in with him with numbers as well. 2022, because it had 222 energy, it means people were more sensitive. Like the ones who had the 2 in the chart, they felt things more deeply, but it was also a year of the family and the year of women. Now, why is that? Because 6 is the nurturer. So look what happened. Women certainly had an opinion when a decision was made with our Supreme Court, right? It was taking something that they felt was a right, whether you agree or don't, it doesn't even matter, as much as something was in place for 50 years and it was removed. That played a role in what happened this year, but also in the world. Look at Iran. When that girl, her hair was showing and she was killed, right? The girl who died?
Yes.
And all these women
21-year-old. That was sad.
Yes, and they were livid. And then in Russia, all these young men that were not trained to go to war, but they had to go, the mothers have rose up for that too. So that's what numerology is, George. It gives us an insight, like what's going to stand out? What are we going to see? But because the year's not over, I've got some real good information for December that I want to share with your audience.
Sure, go for it.
Okay. What's nice about this December is the energy in the month is going to repeat itself. Now, I'm going to give you an example of what I mean. Each day, there are 3 numbers I deal with. It's the month and day reduced to 1 digit, the actual day reduced to 1 digit, and then the full date reduced to 1 digit. So, example, tomorrow's December 1st. You break it down. The month and day, when you add it up, it's a 4. The actual day is a 1. And then when you take the full date, 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2, that's a 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. So what does that mean? The actual day is a 1, and the full date's a 1. The next day, the 2 day, when you add the whole thing up, it's a 2 again, double 2. Following day, double 3. Now, why does that matter? Because in numerology, it means what you see is what you get. And since I taught life path numbers tonight, I'm going to tell people to keep an eye on date energy. That's good for them, okay? So here we go. 1, 5, 7. That's a life path combination. I told you earlier that's the mind numbers. They're very cerebral.
Mm-hmm.
They should pay close attention. Like tomorrow, what are you doing? Well, I know you work, but what are your big plans this month? Like, can you give me a date where you'll be somewhere? Just date energy.
No, I'm just working.
Nonstop.
I'm working nonstop.
Right, but I mean, are you going to travel?
Nope, nothing in December.
Powerful. So you'll be right where you are. Okay, because here's what it means. 1, 5, 7, if you pick a day energy that's a 1 or breaks down to 5 or 7, it's to your advantage this month. So if you want to schedule something like with family or getting together with someone, a group, or maybe even pitch something, an idea you have, you'd want to pick that energy. So what do I mean by that? Let's say it's the 16th. 1 plus 6 is 7, right? December 16th, the whole date adds up to 7. So it's double 7. You could use that, George, to your advantage. So let's say you're a 3, 6, or 9 life path. These are considered creative-minded energy, but it means the dates that add up to, just keep it simple, people. Just break it down. The 12th, 1 plus 2 is 3. The 15th, 1 plus 5, 6. The 18th, 1 plus 8 is 9. Use those dates because they resonate with you. And then finally, the pack of numbers 2, 4, 8. These are considered business-minded. So if there's any business idea, there's something about money, because, when the year wraps up, sometimes we have to move things around to get ready for the next year. They would pick a date that adds up to a 2, a 4, or an 8. So we know it's easy if it's the 2nd or the 4th or the 8th. That's obvious. But let's say it's the 11th. 1 plus 1 is 2. It's the 13th. 1 plus 3 is 4. It's the 17th. 1 plus 7 is 8. If you keep those dates in mind, you can get some amazing results this month before the year's over.
How does next year look for everybody overall? Is it going to be a good, positive year or what?
Well, here's the thing about the number 7. When we talk about the positive, 7 energy, we can say you thank God or you think you're God. So we have a lot of powerhouses right now that have the 7. I have to say, like Elon Musk is a 7. Vladimir Putin is a 7. Well, we've watched the decisions they've made this year. Like Twitter has certainly shifted. I think you've noticed that, yes?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And I'd simply gently say, not all for the better, and I get that he's trying to figure it out, but with the energy, they don't just have 1 7. They have double 7, both of them. So what does that mean? Thank God or thank your God. Well, when you try to shift something, the same way Putin shifted in his cycle, and I told you back in January, I said, no. If that man does the attack, he's going to regret it, and you have seen why. No matter what's happening in that war, it has been horrible for Russia. Okay? So that's a 7. So with the world number 7, I say this, for all of us that are social, it's a great time to step back, assess yourself. How am I doing? How's my health? How are my relationships? It's a time to look at it objectively, right? Instead of living in the fantasy, I want it to be this way, seeing it for what it is and making changes for the better. So I'm actually looking forward to the 7 energy for our world.
Sports figures carry a number on their jerseys. Mm-hmm. Wayne Gretzky, the great hockey player, was 99. Lou Gehrig, the great baseball player for the Yankees, was number 4. Do those numbers have anything to do with their playing ability?
Absolutely.
I knew it.
Yeah, it's so true. That number, it's in it, what it does. It's like an address. Like when I talk about you go to someone's home and you walk into their house, maybe the house is a 5, you're going to feel the energy. Well, when you're someone who's playing and you're trying to win, you want to make sure the number that you're wearing resonates with your own numerology. And so whether they know it or not, now, mind you, I get calls a lot about this, so I'm going to explain that to you in a moment. But I watch players, the ones who do really well, and when I run numbers, sure enough, that number they're wearing is in their numerology blueprint. But I get mothers with little young, kids. Oh, my son, he wants to be in football. And she's like, well, he's wearing the number 8. And she's like, I'm worried about that because there's a one life path. What can I do? And we will literally have them put a number under that shirt just to alter the energy, because you can do that.
How important is their birthday compared to the number they wear on their back?
Their birth date is everything. Through the years, you and I have even talking about like horse racing, right? And when I've been able to say who's going to win, like the Kentucky Derby, the numbers 1, 5, and 7 are the movement numbers. They're the ones who are like, get me out of here, I got to go. So when it comes to competition, those are the numbers that excel. And so that's why it matters. Like if you try to make someone do sports that they don't want to do, chances are it's in their chart that they just don't want to do it.
Al Kaline for the Detroit Tigers was 6. The great Willie Mays was 24. And they just turned out to be superstars.
And so what do we say about that number, right? The number 6 and the number 24, as I've been teaching tonight, 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 is the most magnetic number. It's also energy that doesn't like to let people down. So isn't that true when someone's out there, like the ones who do the best in competition? It's not just their own ego. They're trying to affect like a team, right? I want my team to win. I'm going to make sure I am an asset. That number points to that. The 6, they stand out. They walk in a room, we notice them.
Glynis, thank you. Let's keep in touch, okay?
Oh, absolutely. Thanks, George.
The Coast mobile app is now available for download on iPhones and Android devices. You can become an insider directly through this app. This is a great option for our international listeners, and new users will also receive a free 2-week trial.